Let's do all the things and all the comparisons. So,
Alrighty.
I'm going to start recording. So, what we're going to do here today, everybody, this is Seth. I am David,
Nice to meet you.
as you all know. They don't say anything back, Seth, just so you know. They don't say anything back.
Thought I'd extend the courtesy.
What a nice guy. Let's look at these Google Business Profiles and see if you really need to have all these separate listings by department. This is specifically for auto dealers. So we're going to take some stores, and then we are going to look, because we recently made a change in the last 6 months, where a couple of our clients, one client has a couple different rooftops, both domestic and import, which is a good representation. And we're going to see, do the results carry over? Do the results actually carry over if we make a new parts listing and a new service listing? Does that actually help improve the overall searches, right? That's the theory. That's the case study. That's what everybody says. So, how do you want to do this? You want me to share my screen? I could share my screen for part of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. We'll have to blur some of this stuff out later. We can do it after the fact. All right, let's take a look at component number 1. We're looking at this store. It's a Kia store. And this is their main profile. Our date range is currently February. July doesn't really count because that's the time of this recording. We can only go back this far. I thought we could go back more than this.
Yeah, I found the metrics specifically within Google Business Profile to be pretty limiting. So you can't do specific dates. And yeah, you can only go back so far.
I know there was limitations. I just thought you could go back more than 6 months, but I guess not. And that's even in the month we're in. So regardless, we have this store pulled up, and then we have its equivalent parts store. Same manufacturer. As you can see, we started in between May and June, really. So that's when this really started to tick up. Now, this was parts only. We did have a service in parts for a while, which we then separated out, and I think that's this one. And we started this. It looks like we've had this going even before February. So, since this is before February, is this an actual accurate? I think we need before February, don't you?
Yeah, I'd agree.
So maybe we can't make any insights with this thing. But, okay, let's try and go to Buick GMC. Same dealer. Same kind of concept. We have a main listing. We have a parts only listing, which was enacted between May and June. And then we have a service and auto repair. Okay, so this service and auto repair is a little bit better because we can see a 0 point, right? So 0 in February, and then we start to ascend. And it looks like June it starts to descend, but that makes sense because this was an aggregate service and parts originally, and now we had parts come up. That sounds right, Seth?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think? Should we look at calls and website clicks, overview? What do you think the best way to do it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can start with overview because that gives you a general idea of your overall visibility and overall sort of engagement. And we can see when the one's going up because it's new and the other one's going down, that they're, in a sense, kind of canceling each other out. So might you be yielding some additional searches? Maybe some, but is it enough? I guess is the question.
Right. Is it enough to make a significant difference? So the theory that the industry says at this point is, okay, we should have some sort of performance fluctuation up with the new listings, and this listing should pretty much stay the same. That's the idea.
Yeah.
So we had 548 business profile interactions. You have to also realize, though, it's kind of hard to compare because it's seasonal, right? So different seasons have different effects. 548 interactions. Then we go to 671. Then we go to 801. And then we go down a little bit to 747. So that's a difference of about 50. And then we kind of go up a little bit. And then July doesn't really count because we're halfway through it. So you would think when we created, oh, am I in the right one? When we created this one, that this would actually pull from that. So you'd think between April and May, our hypothesis would be it's actually pulling from the main listing a little bit. And there's a difference of about 50 interactions. So were there a difference of 50 interactions between April and May? Yeah, almost exactly. So I take that to mean that it just steals from the main listing that it would have gotten anyways.
Yep. I mean, again, this is one example, but this is sort of something I've intuitively thought going along, just like with sitting in on conversations where they're talking about this sort of stuff, and then we've seen other people come in saying that you should do like sell your car and then your dealership have a Google business profile for that. Try and showing up for more organic searches. Like it's a lot of it just comes up kind of gimmicky to me and doesn't. It seems like a lot of work to put in for little results.
It gives the dealer personnel or the ad agency or whoever's managing their Google presence, instead of one responsibility, you have 2 or 3. And this is not just pushed by industry. This is pushed by manufacturers. We had Subaru, a Subaru dealer. We had to do this because of a Subaru dealer. Because they're like, oh, we have to do it this way. This is the benchmark. This is what Google says, the end-all, be-all. But at least in this interaction, as we can see here, oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one. I got too many open. As we can see between this guy and this guy, April to May went up about 50 overall interactions when we added a service and auto repair listing. Then, again, between April to May, the main listing went down about 50 interactions. I mean, that's kind of conclusive to me. I think we have to take more examples to really know. Well, let's look at calls. So we have May to June. What do we see? April to May from the main listing looks pretty much the same. And then May to June, there was a big increase. Okay, this whole thing looks like it's increasing. It kind of makes sense, though, because in normal times, non-COVID, non-inventory affected times, summer months are typically better than winter in central USA. So now if we look here, we had most of this happen, but interestingly we have May. Oh, let me go to calls first. Look at that. May to June, you had 2 calls in June. 16, 8. I mean, these are negligible numbers.
In the grand scheme of it, yeah.
Negligible. Let me get rid of this guy because it's just confusing. 350. I mean, you know what's interesting? Look, May to June, they had more phone calls naturally from this. But then on the service and auto repair, they had less. So I wonder if the sales listing did better for overall searches for whatever reason. And then the service and auto parts repair, because what's the difference here? About 16 phone calls-ish? 15? 84 minus 69, that's 15. Okay. And then we have 16 in May here, and then it goes down to 2. That's almost a direct correlation number if all things are the same considered, you know? Did I lose you, Seth?
No, yeah. I'm thinking on it. And then, like, if you consider, like, even just looking at the reviews, you'll see that the main listing will have a lot of reviews that mention service too. So people are looking up your business to call or leave a review or what have you. Odds are they're putting in search queries that make the main listing pop up.
Okay, that's a great point. Let's look at this main listing. Let's look at some of the most recent. I don't know how I'm going to blur all this stuff out.
The whole screen might just be kind of
Yeah, fuzzy. Everything's fuzzy. So, okay, here's a good review, nice selection, amazing service a week ago. This is of the main listing. So you're absolutely 100% right. Explained everything. Great to work with. We don't know. Here, I can just probably Command F service. There's 8 of them. That could be on this page too. Oh, nope. Service. Whatever. I think you're absolutely right. It's services layered in here. Very attentive. That's a purchase. It also depends what the store is pushing for reviews. So if they're pushing sales reviews and not service reviews, I always see a lot of sales reviews, like the sales staff does a decent job of pushing them. But then in general, service, I don't see as good. It's usually when there's something bad,
And I think specifically, though, in this instance, this is one of the rooftops underneath the big umbrella of this company. And so if they're going here for service, their service department services many more than just the specific business profile. So they're likely going to be leaving those service reviews on the very main listing for the entire location, not just this individual rooftop there.
True. Yep. Because that main location has a lot more than 46 reviews. It's got 2,800.
Yeah.
It's a good point. I also wanted to see the performance as far as like what type of searches are being. So some of these will have to blur. This is going to be a blurring ordeal. But most of it's brand related and dealer related. Oftentimes 60 to 70% from what I see, dealer related searches are for service. Where's my local Buick dealer because I need an oil change or something. So a lot of the dealer stuff I think is going to be heavy service. It's not like buy GMC car or buy GMC truck. I don't see any of that in here. It's all GMC dealer, Buick dealer, so on and so forth. Curious to see what is the service and auto repair picking up for. Kind of the same. I mean, you got brand keywords here, but you still have dealership. It doesn't necessarily say service at all. This is all dealer stuff.
There's the first repair one, less than 15 searches.
What was that?
The first repair one on there, at least that I'm seeing as you're scrolling through, looks like it's number 12 on that list, and it's less than 15 searches in the time period.
Yep, exactly.
The whole point of that listing is to show for those relevant, service level keywords. It's not happening.
No. Now, here's another thing against this, though, too. Buick GMC is not a humongous brand anymore. To have a better amount of volume, we should take a better dealer or a better manufacturer brand that has more volume to judge it. Okay, so we're going to use another brand that has a little more volume than Buick GMC, and that's going to be Kia. And if we look at overall performance, this is their service and auto repair listing. Again, this has been active since February, so we can't really see a starting point. But we do have a parts listing, because it was originally service and parts, now it's just parts, that started between May and June. And my thought on this would be the service and auto parts listing would have a decrease between May and June if our theory is correct. And it didn't. It was dead even. So no increase, no decrease.
Well, part of that might be seasonality as well, right? So going from May into June, you would expect it to increase quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we look at it this way? How come it doesn't give me the little comparison it used to? I want to see. Maybe we need to aggregate this into a different report to see. But basically, I think you could just look at the total number of business profile interactions the last 6 months versus the previous year. And did they go up or did they stay the same? If they stayed the same, then what did we do? We did nothing.
I think if you look at individual months, it'll tell you your performance this year versus last year.
Okay.
You might be able to do it that way in this platform, but at least I've seen it do that before. They do change this frequently.
I've seen it do it before too, like 2 days ago. Usually it's right here with a little percentage.
It could be that this listing wasn't active a year ago. So if you go to the main listing for Kia.
Yep, you're right. It wasn't active. Even so, though, that's 18% of a decrease over last year. April.
I've seen that pretty much across the board.
Yeah, I have
year over year that GPPs are down.
Yep. I've seen the same thing. Every account, every client, automotive client, they're all down. All of them from last year. But is it Google Ads? Is it Google Ads trying to utilize Performance Max? And Performance Max is just identifying the top converting traffic source? Or is it really the market being down? I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, because I mean, we have seen Performance Max affect GBPs. And we don't manage the Google Ads account for this client, so I couldn't tell you exactly what kind of campaigns they're running on the Google Ad side of things, at least.
Right.
But interesting to see.
But it is down like that. So I guess what conclusions can we make from any of this? I'll tell you what, I just don't see a lot of difference.
Yeah, there's no glowing thing like, wow, this was spectacular. It's worth me giving my advertising company 3 times as much to manage 3 separate listings. Like, I don't see anything that merits that sort of decision.
I would agree. It's almost the same, if not a little bit worse, but it's pretty much the same, looking at all these different date ranges, looking at multiple metrics, multiple sub-metrics like calls and website clicks. So basically what we're saying, at least for these 2 brands, the manufacturer or the domestic manufacturer, Buick GMC, and import manufacturer Kia, in this situation, having all these listings doesn't really make a difference.
I agree.
Now, is there any way that it could make a difference? Like if you post on them more, maybe that makes a difference. Or if you get more reviews for one, does that make a difference? I don't know.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, if people are really trying to engage with the profile, they're going to go where it has the most content already. So maybe if you had one running for years and years and you got it to match the same sort of I guess, level of being built out as the main listing, perhaps, but getting there, like how much effort are you going to put into it to get to that point?
And it's just another thing to manage. So really, the only reason you need one is because you want to make sure your hours are separate.
That has been the one thing that has plagued me trying to manage these business profiles, is getting the hours set straight. Do you want it to open up when your service opens or when your sales opens? Or having the separate listings does solve that issue. But even still, since Google sort of decides what they want to display for your hours and what they want to display for your business name or what have you, if your backlinks and citations aren't set correctly, it's going to change anyways. So
100%. Well, I still like to disagree with everybody. because I still think everybody is, you need all these listings, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't really make a difference. And if you can simplify where you can simplify, especially if you're a single point store, or you have a few stores and you don't necessarily have a marketing director or marketing team or something like that, you got to keep things simple. Got to keep things simple. I would vote, why do it all? It doesn't really make that big of a difference. Plus, still, you mentioned citations. A part of local SEO with Google Business Profile is having citations. How much of a mess is it, Seth, to have citations, hundreds of citations for 3 different profiles, and how messy does that get?
Yeah. Ask me another question. Having all of these random websites that nobody really goes to, but Google still uses them as reference for this sort of stuff, and trying to ensure that every single little detail is correct across them. Otherwise, it just messes everything up. And then trying to get it all corrected, absolute nightmare, I'll be honest. But if you have one, makes it easy, and you're good. And you're not going to get any really worse performance by just having one that we've seen. If anything, makes it a lot easier on yourself. So why make it complicated?
Exactly.
Google Business Profile is super important. And we can see just diving into analytics, the amount of people that it'll drive to the site, and even the amount of phone calls it'll get you. But having more of them isn't really needed.
Yep, well said. Oh, and I just thought another thing too. If you have vehicle listing ads, you'll have to run that across all 3 if you want that to show up. Now you can argue, okay, I don't want it to show up for service and parts, but it still helps. Or if you have chat. If you have a chat through Google Business Profile, then do you only chat the main listing and not the service listing? Why? It just, again, like you said, makes more sense to have it in one. So, very good. Very good, very good, very good. Anything else you'd like to say to people of the internet land?
I think that's all I got at the moment.
Me too. All right. Sounds good, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.